I know a handful of advisors that do what you do, but have not even come close to the growth that you have. Because I think that going back to the sponge example, and I'd like you to expand on how you were able to do this. You market yourself better. I think one of the things that I wrote on the headlines of this podcast, YouTube live show, was that how do you brand yourself as your unique self, right? You seem to me like really genuine. One of my favorite things that you do is the car diaries, or what is that, the car diary?
Yeah, the Car Chronicles.
Oh my God! When I started seeing that, I'm like,
start doing it.
This is not a Raymond James Advisors thing that gets done. Like, this is how did you come up with that idea, and then how did you even get it through a large wirehouse to allow you to do that? And why don't you give me a little bit of background, because I think that was very unique, especially as a wirehouse advisor.
Absolutely. So first of all, it wasn't easy. So again, demographics of our business, I think, is a big part of it. So I'm on the younger end. I mean, I'm in my late 30s at this point, but the vast majority of people who sit in my chair don't look like me. They're a lot older. Typically, they're in their mid to late 60s usually. Mm-hmm. So the fact is, as a digital native, this is something that I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to communicate with people where they are. I think a lot of professionals become a little bit selfish and like kind of dig in as to, this is how I used to do it. But the reality is, people nowadays, this is where they communicate, right? So who am I to tell them to communicate in any other way? Let me go where they are. So that was the premise behind how I started going down this path. And then the car videos is, frankly, for me to get out of my comfort zone. It's a space where I was by myself and I could just kind of talk. And it was frankly dead time. Like, I live 55 kilometers away from where I work. So I had a lot of time in the car. So why not use it productively? That's actually how it started. And again, there was no judgment. There's no other people looking at me. It was literally just me in my car, just kind of rambling on for about an hour. And then I kind of cut it into something that was usable for about a minute afterwards. But that's effectively how it started. So
I think what's key about that is you got to try things and see what sticks. But I remember seeing that for those of you, you probably, maybe a lot of people haven't seen this, but you had your phone kind of at a down angle somewhere down to the bottom right. And it was an awesome shot, just like your phone. It wasn't lots of post-production. It wasn't a lot of bells and whistles. It was your Apple phone with this kind of awesome angle, and you were driving, staring at the road while talking, giving your thoughts. And the thoughts that you were able to edit afterwards were fantastic. But it's a low barrier to entry, but it does mean you're putting yourself out there emotionally. I guess it's a tough thing to do, but it doesn't need to cost you a lot of money. You don't need to have, massive scripts written out before you do stuff like that. And again, I thought I may not have thought it was that novel if you were an entrepreneur, your own PM, but you were part of a larger organization, and for you to have done that kind of opens the door for a lot of other wirehouse advisors to do similar thing. So,
well, for the record, I'm not doing a lot of those anymore. So the car thing, just with the legalities of it, it's kind of a gray area. So I've stopped it intentionally for safety reasons, but I did about like 70 of them. So it's not like I did a lot. So I'm kind of like, I think it's done with the car for now.
But you've moved on with a lot of podcasting, interviews, right? So you kept on moving that ball forward.
Totally. You described it as getting outside of your comfort zone, but you strike me as a pretty good communicator. You seem like a natural. Why was that getting outside of your comfort zone?
So, I mean, we all have our insecurities, right? I mean, I have them as well. And one of the challenges that whenever you're recording something, so let's say my office at the office, when I'm in, like when I'm in my home office, but my office, it has glass windows. And it's this thing where everybody literally just peers in and looks at what you're doing, especially because I'm always the guy that's charging forward with something new and innovative. So I always find prying eyes, and I find it very distracting. So for me, it was just easier to start off in the car. And you're right, I'm not really that shy, but every now and then it does come up where you're like, okay, well, was that weird? And I am putting myself out there, like Rodrigo said. So it took a little bit of being okay from an emotional standpoint to say something and be okay with it and put it out there. And once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. It's there for life, right? You can't get that back. So you have to be comfortable and stand up at night knowing that, look, I'm okay with what I just did.
Yeah. Well, those are the type of things that I think you can find a niche market, but if you're not being your authentic self, you're missing out. Like you're not going to grow as much as you could. And so I think that's one of the things that I think you've been able to do with the content that you're putting out there. And you're putting out a lot of content too. You write a piece every Friday. What other tools are you using these days from marketing yourself and your team? Because you got a pretty solid team as well.
Absolutely. So that's part of where you can. I don't think I could do this without the team. Point number one, right? So part of it was an evolution. So we do usually one anchor piece of content. So that's usually a video on a weekly basis, and then we'll post either infographics or memes, something unique every single day. And one of the challenges that we face is that, as an industry, we're designed around content curation. So pre-approved, curated content. But I'm a content creator. So there's kind of at times a little bit of butting the heads, but in general, I mean, I've been really fortunate. Raymond James is such a phenomenal firm and a very entrepreneurial place in general, and they see the upsides, but of course, while being, painting between the lines, right? Being okay from a regulation standpoint. So I've been fortunate that I've been at a place that allows me to do this and allows me to express myself and to new markets that frankly they haven't been tapping into. So it's been amazing. I don't think I could have done this anywhere else.